evening, everyone. Welcome to Sports Complex. We'd like to be here tonight to celebrate the life of Dick Anderson. If you need to, there's water right here for everyone.
You have to stand right on the Greenback.
There we go.
That's the voice of the Greenback right there.
There you go.
There's water right here. Please enjoy it. I know
It's not as hot as it has been.
And you're welcome. Again, thanks for being here. We will have speakers coming up. We have about 5 or 6 guys. The color guard will be here. Again, the Anderson family wants to thank you from the bottom of their heart for being here. Please enjoy your own memories as we go through this. So without further ado, we'll bring out John Hamm, and he will have the opening prayer.
Testing. Okay. All right, let's bow, would you please? Our God and Father in heaven, thank you for being such an awesome God. Thank you tonight for providing beautiful weather and a great rain. We thank you for that. Thank you for this community. Thank you for the Anderson family. And we thank you for the life of Dick Anderson. And thank you for all the people that he has touched throughout the years, not only with his voice, but for his mechanic ability, his selling automobiles, and just for being a good friend and neighbor. Thank you. We ask that you continue to be with Bev and the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren. Help us to remember. Most of all, we thank you for Jesus Christ, because we know that it's through Jesus that we have hope. Hope of eternal life that comes through you. Help us to serve one another, but help us to serve you in all that we do. And it's in Christ's name that we pray. Amen.
Hey, just checking up on you guys. You look for more arms. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I don't have the radio voice that Dick Anderson did, but I'm going to try. Practicing yesterday, I got a little frog in my throat, pun intended. Okay, good. Broke the ice on this hot July day. My name is Jeff Tenniscutter. I'm the proud son-in-law of Richard D. Anderson, better known as Dick. I've been married to his daughter Stacy for 23 years. And together we have 2 daughters, Anna and Abigail. Dick was born on February 12, 1946, in Mason City, Iowa, to his adoptive parents, Ernest and Cleo Anderson. As a child, Dick grew up in the garage with his father, Ernie, learning everything there was to know about cars and racing. He passed this passion down to his son, Richard. After high school, Dick went to the Navy. He was a Seabee and served 2 tours in Vietnam. He received a Vietnam Service Medal with Fleet Marine Force Combat Operations Insignia, a National Defense Service Medal, and a Vietnam Campaign Medal with Device. We are proud to have the Honor Guard here today to honor him. Dick settled in Pratt, Kansas in 1986. He was a jack of all trades after the service. He was a master mechanic. He managed a bowling center for 20 years, owned a small car business with Richard for a while, sold cars, and ended his career as the sports director for KMMM 1290 radio station. He broadcast all sports for the Pratt community, which is where he earned the well-deserved honor of being known as the voice of the Greenbacks. He loved this role and retired from it in 2019. Dick left such a tremendous impact on the community here in Pratt that the Dick Anderson Greenback Memorial Fund has been established to continue his love for Greenback athletics. There's going to be an annual scholarship given in his name, and if anyone would like to contribute once or on an ongoing basis, please reach out to the family for more information. His love for the community was commendable, but his love for family was infinite. Dick married Beverly, also known as Grandma B, on February 10th, 1989. He was lucky to have Bev in his life. We all know it. Watching a spouse at the end of life carries a heavy emotional toll that's only soothed with time and support. Bev, I wish I could just wave a wand and make it all better. But we thank you for caring for and loving Dick from the time the relationship began until his last moment on earth. Your marriage is something for the rest of us to look up to, and you will always have the support from us to help when it's needed the most. Just don't be shy to ask for it when you need it. Our only regret was that you and Dick didn't get to enjoy the little house built for retirement just a little longer. Grandma B, he loved you, and so do we. Dick and Bev blended their two families 33 years ago. Together they had 9 children, 21 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandsons. They live in Florida, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and North Carolina. Most have been able to be here today. I pray that you will all take comfort in knowing that he loved you, and I hope you'll move through life thinking of him often. I'd like to spend just a few minutes talking about what Dick meant to me, with the hope it inspires you to reflect on what he meant to you. From the moment I laid eyes on his daughter Stacy in 1997, I fell head over heels for her, and we started dating. A short time later, she brought me home to Pratt to meet the family. Dick and I connected immediately. He always treated me warmly and with respect. Any father here with daughters of his own knows that has special meaning. Before I asked Stacy to marry me, I called Dick to ask for his blessing. He was beaming with pride and happy to welcome me to the family. He gave me his blessing and ended the call with an ask. Please promise to protect, care for, and love his daughter. There comes a moment in the life of every son-in-law where he decides whether to allow his father-in-law to be influential in his life. Our phone conversation to ask for his blessing was that moment for me. And Dick, I have kept that promise I made to you that day. I can't speak for all, but I'll bet being grateful to have him as an important part of my life is how a lot of people feel about Dick. Everyone here has their own stories and memories of him. I ask you to recall, embrace, and savor those stories and memories with a sense of gratitude for what Dick meant to you. Dick had a special relationship with all of his grandchildren, and my 2 daughters were no exception. Although we live 1,603 miles from this very spot, Dick was present for many of the most meaningful moments of their lives. We spent quality time together. We were blessed that Hannah and Abigail were able to experience his warmth and his love. He had a lot of fun with them, counseled them, even when it wasn't what they wanted to hear. And while he imparted a lot of life lessons to both of them, they will never forget the first time they experienced being behind the wheel of a car, truck for that matter. Grandpa Dick had them in his truck on the country roads in Pratt, Kansas. I remember Stacy yelling at him, "Aren't you going to teach them the controls?" And Dick said, "Just put on your seatbelt and push on the gas." Another standout memory was when Dick came to Florida to witness Abigail win her first state volleyball championship. The photo we have of him celebrating in the stands is priceless. Before the game even started, he came walking out of the gym with a man. And we were like, how in the world do you know somebody here? Well, it happened to be Roy Allen, who was the former athletic director at Seward County Community College. His wife started the volleyball program at Florida Southwestern in Fort Myers, the same place we were playing. And Dick knew him. Unbelievable. As most of you know, Dick was very social. Could always strike up a conversation with anybody he came across. And we had a good laugh about that. but it was no surprise that Dick came all the way to Florida and ran into somebody he knew from Kansas. He loved all of his grandchildren unconditionally and reminded them they could always come back to Pratt every time they came for a visit. Mr. Richard D. Anderson, on behalf of all of us, may you rest in peace. We'll take it from here on earth until we reunite together again in heaven. In closing, let us pray. God our Father, your power brings us to birth, your providence guides our lives, and by your command we return to dust. Lord, those who die still live in your presence. Their lives change but do not end. I pray and hope for my family, relatives, friends, and for all the dead known to you alone. In company with Christ, who died and now lives, may they rejoice in your kingdom, where all of our tears are wiped away. Unite us together again in one family to sing your praise forever and ever. Amen.
Hey, Jeff, will you grab the mic stand?
This is Dick Anderson. People kind of know me as the voice of the Greenbacks and the Beavers and the American Legion 86er baseball team. I'd like to take just a minute to thank Troy Maydew and Glenn Cunningham for traveling all over the state with me this year to do the broadcast. I'd also like to thank all the sponsors that we have on the Pratt High Greenbacks, the Pratt Community College Beaver, and the 86er baseball sponsorship list. We can't do it without you. And to all the staff here at KMMM Radio, Sandy Dyke, who's the sales representative, Carl Redden, who does all the board work, and Lisa Koss, who's the general manager. This is a time of year when you look back and you realize that things are just doggone pretty good around Pratt, Kansas. And we hope you enjoyed what we do as much as we enjoy doing it for you. Happy holidays to all of you, and be safe during the holidays.
Well, that audio clip was a perfect lead-in for my time on the microphone tonight. My favorite way to introduce myself back when Dick and I were broadcasting together, just like you heard Dick say, he's the voice of the Greenbacks. My favorite introduction to follow up with that was, I'm Troy Maydew, I'm the voice of reason. And even though my tongue was firmly in my cheek when I used that introduction, Dick's unwavering loyalty was the biggest reason that I could use that joking introduction. Dick was one of the most loyal guys I've ever been around. Loyal to his country, loyal to his family, and loyal to this great community of Pratt. Like myself, Dick was not a Pratt native, as you heard Jeff talk about. But because both his kids and my kids went to school here, we became Greenbacks. Then, when he, then later I, were given the opportunity to broadcast Greenback sports, being true to his character, Dick became a loyal, if not the most loyal, Greenback supporter. And broadcasting the games deepened his loyalty, regardless of the result. No matter if it was a winless season or a season that resulted in a state championship, Dick was proud of every Greenback player. It didn't matter if the player was an all-stater or someone coming off the bench in mop-up time. His pride showed through just the same for all of them. Loyalty like Dick's can come across as a misguided look at reality. And sometimes it did come across that way on the broadcast. But that was because he realized just how special this community is. It is one of just a handful of schools that we compete against that had regular media coverage. And he never wanted to disappoint the faithful Greenback listeners. He knew he sounded like a cheerleader at times, but he didn't care. He would much rather sound like a cheerleader than to say a disparaging word about a Greenback athlete. He, I, and Glenn Cunningham would talk about team and individual shortcomings on the way home from games. He definitely saw them and understood them, but he never wanted to come across as anyone but a loyal Greenback supporter. And I think he successfully accomplished that goal during his broadcasting career. And with his loyalty came dedication. He was dedicated to being the voice of the Greenbacks. During basketball season, he would broadcast up to 5 games a week between Greenback and Beaver games, traversing from places like Colby to Coffeyville, and from Scott City to Fort Scott. One of those Friday nights when we were headed out to Ulysses for a game, we were around Montezuma, and the next thing you know, a highway patrolman pulls up behind us with his lights on. So Dick, who was driving as he always did, pulled over, and the officer walked up to our vehicle and asked where we were heading to. We told him we were heading out to Ulysses to broadcast a ball game. So the trooper said, I'll try not to hold you up very long. I don't want you to be late for that broadcast, but just slow down a little bit, and I'll let you off with a warning. So we made it to Ulysses in plenty of time and broadcast that game. And then later that night after the ball game, we're on our way back home. It's well past midnight. We're on the cutoff road south of Dodge City between Ensign and Ford. And I'll be darned if we didn't find another set of red and blue lights coming up behind us. But this time, the sheriff's officer stopped us, and he knew that at that time of the night, we weren't in any hurry to get any place other than home. So he did give us a ticket that night. We never got stopped by the Highway Patrol or Sheriff's Department before that night or after that night, but it sure makes for a memorable story that we can talk about getting stopped twice in the same night. That remarkable dedication showed how much Dick loved this community and how proud he was to be a representative of both the Greenbacks and the Beavers. So from September to March, Dick and I spent a lot of time together for all those years. But the interesting thing was that from March to September, during the off season, we didn't see a lot of each other. But as I still tell people, I'm a kid at heart. And just like summer always goes fast for the school kids, every off season went really fast for me as well. It seemed like basketball season was barely over before it was time to start the next season with the green and gold scrimmage at Zerger Field, and then head back out on the road with Dick and Glenn. I'm not sure it's really soaked in yet that I won't be able to see and visit with Dick on a regular basis as September draws near. But I can tell you that for this adopted Greenback, it's going to feel like a very long off season. Thank you.
It'll be third down and about 5, ball on the 47-yard line of the Greenbacks. See if they can understand here. Greenback defense doing a nice job here in this first quarter play. Again, the 4-man front. Now they go to a 3-man front. They put another back in. Roadhouse now back on the outside. And Medigo is going to have the first down.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Schmidt. I was the head baseball coach at Pratt Community College for 5 years. I am extremely humbled at the opportunity to speak here tonight. My prayers and condolences go out to Dick's family and the entire community that feels his tremendous loss. My goal is to honor Dick tonight, as we all should, for his unwavering love for the community and the unselfish attitude he had when he put others before himself. I met Dick early on in my time as a head baseball coach at Pratt Community College. He invited me up to do the radio for a Pratt Greenback or Pratt 86er baseball game right back there. The purpose was to introduce me to the community as the new guy on the block. Little did I know it was the start of a 15-year friendship. Now, this was during some really good years for Pratt High School and 86er Legion baseball. Smokey Ford and Pat Sivers had the boys rolling during the years I was here. They were consistently in zones, regionals, states, and out-of-state events. I remember one year in particular where the boys won the regional, and they were headed to Wisconsin. Tim Renner talked to the college and secured the bus. Team, coaches, Dick jumped on for the journey north. I was invested at this time. Dick had kept inviting me up to do the radio with him. I didn't know if he was superstitious or not, but we were having a great time. Anyways, for those of us that couldn't make the trip, we relied on Dick. He was the guy that painted the picture and brought the games to life as only he could. There were so many good players during that period of time: Casey Lippold, Joe Rush, Jay Renner, Spencer Soroki, Jake Soroki, Jake Strecker, Brady Batman, Brad Richardson, Skylar Ingood, Bryant Tice, Joe Dorman, and so many others. And we can hear him announcing their names over and over and over again. I can remember piddling in my garage listening to Dick bring home the action. We were hanging on every pitch, and what a run they had. Not only did those players impact the high school Legion programs, but they helped build the foundation to one of the best baseball teams to ever go through PCC. As a coach, when you're putting a team together, you're looking for the glue guys. The glue guys hold teams together, provide leadership, support, strength, love, and so much more. If you look back, did the players ever do anything wrong? Not in Dick's eyes. Did the coaches ever do anything wrong? Not in Dick's eyes, thank goodness. If a player was struggling, he would be the first one to tell them to hang in there because brighter days were ahead. For me personally, our first couple of years at PCC were difficult from a wins and losses standpoint. I will always cherish the love and support that I received from Dick during those times where I was struggling as a young head coach cutting his teeth in a really tough conference. He cared so deeply for everyone involved on the home team, and it was genuine. Some of the happiest times I had seen Dick was when he was enjoying the team's success. Total definition of a glue guy. The example of unselfishness can be seen through Dick as well. Very few see and understand all the work that goes into a broadcast. The radio guy is the first one there setting up equipment, and the last one there tearing everything down. A person's time is very valuable, especially when we live in a world where we often have so much to do. I would like everyone to take a second and think about the amount of time that Dick gave to each and every one of us in his own way. Whether it was through a broadcast, a conversation, or lending a helping hand, Dick did it. I will never forget how he cared for me as a friend and my family. I will never forget how my oldest son was about 3 years old at the time. He snuck away from his mom, snuck up the back stairs, the press box at Stadium Field. Dick was calling the game, and he walked up behind him, unfazed. During the action, Dick pulled out his extra headset and put it on his head. It is awesome to see how their relationship began a lot like ours. He would always ask how his little buddy was, and here's my little buddy coming up to this broadcast with me. I want to share with you what I will miss most. I will miss coming to Pratt or Dick coming to Hutch. I will miss him coming into the dugout before the game. I will miss the bear hug he would give me. I will miss him asking how my wife Missy and the kids are and how his little buddy isn't so little anymore. I will miss him telling me about his family and all the accomplishments of his grandkids that he was chasing around. I will miss reminiscing about all the good times that we shared together. He would always ask me if I got a good team this year and how recruiting was going. He would always say, I got a guy for you to look at. He hits for power, has a bazooka for an arm, and runs like the wind. I would say, Dick, how do I not know about this kid? He would say, well, he's only 10 and he plays on my Little League team. But you should keep your eyes on him. We all share the memories, good stories, and jokes that we all have with Dick. The community brought so much joy to him. I think we would be happy hearing about us sharing the joy that he brought to us. The airwaves will never be the same without my good friend. I will attend and listen to many games in the future. I will be reminded of my friend often. I will be reminded of him being the glue guy and being one of the most unselfish people I've ever met. Again, thank you to the family for asking me to be here. And may God bless you. And may God bless him as he looks down upon us. Thank you.
The Greenbacks will be back home to Zerger Field this Friday night with the Nickerson Panthers in town. This is the final game of district play for the Greenbacks before they start playoffs. So let's fill the stadium with Greenback fans. The Doug Gray pregame show will start at 6:20 and join us here on KFM AM 1290, a Rockingham media station, and the only place you're going to find Greenback sports.
Life is really about being the best that we can be. And the people we influence in life, their testimony lives on after we depart from it. I believe this is a measure of life. In that regard, Dick left a huge testimony in Pratt. In fact, Dick was the first Greenback that I met. Actually, we talked by phone. I was coaching school in Wichita. We were getting ready to come to Pratt. And he called and was very persistent to get an interview. He was passionate about Pratt, and it was obvious that he felt Pratt was a great place to be. Little did he know that 2 months later, my family ended up in Pratt as Greenbacks, and Dick and I quickly became friends. He would often stop by after practice that summer and chat about the team, the players, and the history of Pratt. This is where I truly came to know Dick. I heard his life story, heard of his love for his wife Bev, his kids, and his grandkids. We talked philosophy of sports, talked about being the best it can be, what it means. Today it's my privilege as Pratt AD to take a few minutes to attempt to describe his life and legacy as relates to being the Greenback play-by-play radio announcer. To keep me on task, I'm using notes. If any of you know Dick and I, put the two of us with the microphone, we can both chat, talk for a long time. And I'm sure many times he was late getting home. My apologies, Bev, because we were talking late into the night. The first Greenback value is team. And for me, Troy already mentioned this, but for Dick, team was all about loyalty. The Greenback fight song is called Loyalty, and that truly describes Dick. On the air, grandparents and parents loved the fact that Dick was appreciative of every player. Troy mentioned that. He always went out of his way to be positive, no matter what the score was taking place on the field. But Dick's loyalty to the Greenback team on the field or on the court was especially legendary when it came to officiating. On the air and in person, if a call didn't go for Pratt, well, he was loyal to the home team. Let's just say that. We've got several stories. In fact, there's two in particular that I can't tell tonight that we both agree on where the call didn't go our way, and we love to talk about it years later. Second attribute of Dick was passion. He was passionate for Greenbacks, and he loved sports. Each year he embraced the team. For example, his passion never wavered, whether the Greenback quarterback was named Skyler, BJ, Brandon, and the list goes on and on. The same holds true for baseball and softball, as the pitchers and catchers rotated over the years. Dick's passion extended to all Greenback sports. For years, he had a Monday night coaching show at Legends, and made sure to invite the coaches and athletes from volleyball, cross country, golf and tennis, wrestling, and track and field to share their stories and experiences with his radio audience. What an impact on kids to be on the radio. And this is when, during the winter sports season, he was doing as Beth I'm sure can articulate, he was doing 5 nights a week of basketball. The highlight for every athlete and coach is going to state. And of course, the highlight for every sportscaster is broadcasting state tournament games. Dick had to display a little grit in this area. Dick started doing play-by-play back in 2002, 2003, moving over from the bowling and car businesses, and his early years were marked by competitive teams, but Pratt was just in the middle of a state tournament drought. My first year at Pratt, Dick and I spoke about this several times. Let's just say that Dick's grit was eventually rewarded. As the Greenbacks, and as you heard about the 86ers, everybody turned the corner about the same time, after he'd been doing play-by-play about 6 or 7 years. In fact, boys basketball went to state 6 years out of 8, capped by a state runner-up in 17. Girls basketball went 3 years in a row. Softball went to state 7 out of 9 years, starting in 09, and won state in 2014, right over here across the way. I'm sure Coach Forrest will tell us more about that experience in a few minutes. Baseball went to state again 4 years. State football won in 2016, and then finished the state runner-up in 18. The Greenbacks enjoyed a 34-3 run. There were a lot of smiles by Dick and everyone in the press box during those seasons. Dick also had great respect for others. A couple of thoughts come to mind. Dick would articulate on a regular basis to me his respect and admiration for the Greenback radio crew of Troy Maydew, Lynn Cunningham, and Laker Tate Thompson. He always took the time to recognize them both on and off the air. Second, Dick was a legend across the western half of the state among sports radio announcers, well respected and appreciated by all. He would often go in the gym or on the field, and he would know people that surprised me, and he would definitely be respected by the opposing announcers. One year Dick was invited to Kansas City to see the Chiefs radio operation by Mitch Holtis. That was a big thrill and a personal highlight. So I've come to valor. The definition of valor is great courage in the face of danger. As I articulated earlier, Dick had an incredible love for his family and his wife, Bev. His valor was surely on display the past years he battled cancer, and was truly inspiring. After his chemo and radiation treatments were complete this spring, Dick insisted on coming out to support the baseball and softball teams for a few innings. He would text me or call. Stephanie Thompson and myself would get out the golf cart, and he would watch. I know he inspired our players by this display. Each game and week he gained some strength. It stayed a few minutes longer, and we had more time to chat. As his surgery approached, Dick's candid attitude demonstrated his valor. He told me that the doctors felt like this was a 50-50 deal, but he had to take the chance for his wife, kids, and grandkids. Dick was exhibiting great courage as he loved his family. I've got so many more personal stories about his impact on our community, but he truly lived a life that impacted others. As I said earlier, the measure of life is how you influence people around you. His impact on a generation of Greenback athletes, coaches, and families is demonstrated by the group gathered here tonight and so many more in our community. Dick's spirit will continue to live on through each of us. Go Greenbacks.
Greenback, bring him up again. It's late toss, sophomore quarterback. In 2 split left, 2 split right. Opening in the backfield, man in motion. Hunter Huber, he gets a handoff, round the corner, gets the 35, goes to the 40, then the 45. Nice run by Hunter Huber. He'll pick up 13 yards. And Pettigo with the knockdown, but Hunter Huber picks up a nice gain there, 13 yards, first down, Greenback.
And you've got the team fired up now. That's a good thing. A nice run to get it started.
I don't know if I can get that figured out, but it's out here for Coach Forsey too. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the family for asking us all to speak. I know that would be very important to Dick, and he's very important to all of us, as you can see. I also have notes, so I stay on track. No one loved Greenback sports more than Dick Anderson. No matter how successful or how much adversity there was in any season of Greenback sports, Dick was positive no matter what. I will never forget being asked to commentate for the state championship football game in 2016 when Troy was watching Jensen play college basketball. We were celebrating and high-fiving like teenagers in the booth. We jumped up and down. We danced a little. Well, that was mostly me. And we hugged quite a bit. I don't know how he got the words out of that big smile on his face. I feel like that was a reward to him for all of his years of being the ultimate Greenback fan. I enjoyed all the games going in for Troy from that point on because I got to spend time with a friend who only saw the good in people and always had my back. And I mean always. I also enjoyed commentating with Dick when the wins weren't coming as easily because that's when you really see the loyalty and love from Dick Anderson. During those times, we just pointed out all of the good stuff we knew about our boys. With tears in his eyes and that signature smile on his face, Dick would look me in the eye and ask me a lead-in question about one of the boys in a hopeless game and set me up to build them up. Then the tears got bigger, as well as his smile, because he knew how much we both loved those boys and that Beverly would be listening and that she would be proud of how positive we were, regardless of the score. As we finished out our last broadcast together, Dick said to me, "I want you to know how much I enjoyed having you with us. You're a class act. I'm really glad I've gotten to know you. We were really lucky to have you and your family here." The reason I share this is because nobody could build you up like Dick Anderson. And I'll tell you from watching someone try to talk to him negatively about someone he loved and built up. When you did that, Dick would tilt his head to the side, give you that glare, put a little extra raspy growl in his voice, and let you know that you don't talk about his people like that. And I mean ever. And the tears would flow. The best part about commentating with Dick was the trips, the talks, the love Dick shared about his family. He loved his family dearly and talked about them with such pride. Kids, grandkids, you name it. He was their best PR man, loyal to the bone like Troy said. And the background stories from his childhood, his struggles, personal struggles, and his story of the one that he said made him a better man, changed him, and loved him equally as much as he loved her, the absolute love of his life, Beverly. He talked so lovingly about her heart for kids, and how he admired her so much, and of course he bragged on all of her sports accomplishments, which were many. She was one hell of an athlete, he would tell me, and he would follow that up with all the kids and grandkids' sports stories, or just stories in general from wherever they were, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, wherever it was, whichever kid or grandkid it was, he smiled and he teared up the same for all of them, every single time. Then we talked about adoption. That was a topic dear to his heart on many levels. From his own childhood being adopted to his relationship with Beverly, Amy, Wendy, helping kids out in ways like that, adoption and caring for kids, whether they started out as yours or not, was an important topic to him. He said, "Coach, I want to thank you for what you've done. You have no idea how important being a dad to those kids is." "Well, you do know, but you don't know how much it means to me." "Well," and he would tear up and have trouble finishing and say, "You just do it right, and it's something special." "No, I mean it now. You've just really done it, and those kids, you just have a heart that..." And he never could finish it all, but I knew what he meant. I saw his heart. I saw his love. I saw his flaws throughout life. All of it. He shared all of it. It was something special. Now to the interviews. Dick would see me at a football game, basketball game, sometimes baseball or softball game, and he told me. He didn't ask me. He told me he was interviewing me, and he would motion me over when it was time, or he would make me follow him to the booth or wherever he was set up based on the sport. I don't know how he spotted me, but I really tried to hide a lot of times. And he would be commentating, turn around, point at me, and tell me to come sit by him. He knew where I was at all times somehow. I bet Dick interviewed me 15 to 20 times per year, and I haven't been interviewed by any broadcaster in Pratt since. As much as I love Dick Anderson, I didn't love the interviews as much. I have flaws as a coach and as a human in general. I like to keep those hidden, if possible, but with Dick that wasn't possible. He would go right to my weakness, time and date of my next event. I know our schedule, I don't think about it weeks in advance, I am focused on the product, positive mindset, how the kids are progressing and meeting our goals, and Dick would go right to time and date every time. I told him, I reminded him, changed the subject on it repeatedly, and still, time and date. The other thing he would do was bring up a former wrestler, a wrestler he saw at Legends that day, a wrestler from 20 years ago, and he never knew which Prater was which, and we loved him for all of that. I answered more questions about Daniel Prater than anyone else. But I like Daniel, so that worked for me. Don't know what my actual assistant coach, Ronald Prater, thought about that, but we represented Daniel well. Dick would ask me about everything but what I was prepared to talk about. It was funny, but I learned a trick from Troy, and I just changed the subject mid-answer, and then I just talked about what I wanted to talk about. I took that cue from Troy, but I was never truly safe because just about every football or basketball game, after I was interviewed by Dick, I would end up sitting by Wendy, and she had listened to Dick plenty. because she asked me the same type of questions. So I responded the same way. The same way I did when I didn't want to answer what Dick asked, and I talked to her about something else. I talked to her about Drew, about Samson, about the WWE, about Bobby Lashley, anything to change the subject. So thank you, Troy, for helping me get through the interviews from the Anderson family members. My last interaction with Dick was at a basketball game where he demanded, with tears in his eyes, that I come down and give him a hug because he was so proud of our state championship year. He told me he was proud of me and that he always knew we would do it, and he truly meant it. That was Dick. Needless to say, in the middle of complimenting me, he was so emotional that I couldn't understand all of the words he said because they didn't all come out through the tears. But the sentiment was never lost, and the love from Dick was felt, as he knew that you had to tell people that you loved them. But that was nothing if you didn't show them that you loved them. He showed all Greenback family members that he loved them, not just in words, but in actions. We all saw his heart, and it was huge. Dick Anderson was a true friend and a loving father, grandfather, and husband. He was the ultimate Greenback. Whether talking about Greenback sports, Greenback athletes family members, his family, whatever it was, the most endearing thing about Dick Anderson was how genuinely loyal and loving he was. Dick was one of a kind, an absolute community hero. I love you, Dick Anderson. You left a huge impression on our school, our community, and all things Greenback. Thank you for your time, your love, your encouragement, and your loyalty, as those qualities define the man who will always be the voice of the Greenbacks.
Wednesday night is Pratt Community College basketball from Dennis Less Sports Arena on the campus of Pratt Community College. The Brockbusters from Garden City Community College will be in town to face the Beavers. 5:30 tip-off time. 5:10 is our pregame show brought to you by Doug Gray Chevrolet. Beaver basketball on KFF AM 1290, a Rockingham media station.
I have a little different take on Dick Anderson. I'm Tim Swartzendruber. I'm the athletic director at Pratt Community College, and I've only been in the Pratt community about 3 years, just a little over. But from listening to the other people speak, and there's still a couple after me, obviously some of the things that I learned about Dick in the short time that I know him are so true. You know, my first interaction with Dick, it was one of my first days on the job, and he popped out to the athletic offices at the college. He introduced himself, and he went ahead and told me the story of how my predecessor, I guess, had removed him as the announcer for the Beavers. And certainly he was very disappointed and hurt. And in the short time that I talked, I knew right then that we were going to reinstate him as our broadcaster. So we did. And I was very excited and happy to have him. And as each of the speakers have talked, the thing that stood out to me was just his loyalty and his passion for the Pratt community. And certainly I look around and I see all the green. I got to wear my Beaver blue, but I know that his love for Pratt, just and the community was very, very deep. I remember at spring, it was the spring of 2019, and I was up in the press box at our baseball game, and he was up there broadcasting a game. If you've ever been up there, there's not a lot of room to get that many people, but we squeezed in there and we did a short interview. And it wasn't, I think later that week, he was out broadcasting a Beaver softball game, and again, he was sitting in the bleachers, like you all, there at Good Field, broadcasting softball. Again, just showing what kind of a passion and dedication he had. When he did retire from announcing, we did a special recognition at the last home basketball game that he announced, and it was so emotional for him, and it made us feel so good that we had reinstated him and that it meant so much to him to be a part of Beaver athletics. He continued to stop by the last couple of years after his retirement. He was proud to bring his predecessors in, or his successors in, and introduce them to me. And Austin's here tonight. We're glad to have him here as part of our community now. I'll close this with a little story, and again, some of the people have commented, but my stepson went to Heston High School, and so my first full year, I started here in the spring of 2019. So in the fall of 2019, my stepson was playing his senior year at Heston, and they were playing Pratt. And so Dick knew this, and we talked about it beforehand. So during the game, my stepson was a good player, and he made some good plays. And so Dick had to talk about this on the radio. So my mother-in-law was listening to the game, and she was so excited to think that he knew who her grandson was on the Swather team. So that was definitely a special moment. Dick loved the Pratt community and Pratt athletics. I'm thankful that I had a chance to work with him. Thank you.
It's a busy basketball week here at KFW AM 1290. First on Wednesday night, it'll be Pratt Community College Beavers taking on the Blue Dragons from Hutchinson Community College. We'll have that one for you live and local right here on KFW Radio. Tip-off time, 6 o'clock for the ladies, and the men will be right after that. You can hear it all right here on the Mighty 1290 KFW Radio, live and local, KFW AM 1290.
Okay, we're going to try this without the stand, but I think about 1 Thessalonians 5:11 that says, encourage one another and build each other up. And to me, that was Dick Anderson all the time. I've known Dick Anderson. I'm going to walk around, by the way. This is how I did in my classroom. You're my class, so I'm just going to move around if that's okay with everybody. I've known Dick Anderson for 15 plus years. I think of him as a friend, a colleague, a mentor, a teacher, but he was also our number one fan. I've thought about this over the last few months. So many things come to mind about Dick Anderson, and so many little stories and little things that, and you've heard many of them today. But two things that just kept sticking in my mind, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, and that is courage and family. I had the opportunity 3 or 4 days prior to Dick's surgery to go out and visit with Bev and Dick at their new home. By the way, I was jealous because it's out in the country and I'm an outdoors guy. And I even looked out his back window. I was kind of hinting to Dick, but he must not have got the hint. Hey, I used to turkey hunt back there, back in the day. But that's okay. And we had a great conversation, and they were so welcoming to me to come in and just made me feel at home. And we talked about a lot of things. We talked about his family, who he was so proud of. We talked about his racing days. He showed me all his memorabilia. I knew he was a race car guy at one time. I knew that from the past, because I love racing too. We talked about getting a tour of his home. He showed me his storm shelter, which was cool. He just talked about Greenback sports, baseball, softball, wrestling. He was so proud of all of them. But one thing he did not talk about, and that was the battle that he was facing, the adversity that he was facing. And I thought about that for a long time, and not once did he say anything about feeling sorry for himself, or woe is me, or whining, or any of that. It was about somebody else. Always about someone else. And, we talked for about an hour, and as I was driving back to town, I got to thinking, I'm a big John Wayne fan. Anybody else a John Wayne fan? Nobody. Does anybody know who he is? Yeah. But anyway, there is a quote that's kind of associated with the Duke that I thought of immediately after that conversation. And it basically says, courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway. I don't know if my friend was scared to death, because he sure didn't show it. but he did teach me a lot about courage. I was so proud of how he handled himself. I remember him coming to the ballpark this past spring. Him and Bev come down and as often as they could. And I know he wasn't feeling great, but that didn't matter. He wasn't going to show it. And we just got finished with our pregame prayer. And the girls knew what he was going through. We talked about it. And in fact, we always included him in our pregame prayer. And he was standing up by the dugout where we come on the field. There was a gate, and I know some of the girls weren't sure what to say. Those high school girls, and many of them knew him, and some didn't as well. But Dick took care of that in classic Dick fashion. He said a few things, and as they walked by, and he made something to the remark of, now get out there and hit the crap out of the ball. Well, he didn't use the word crap. It was classic, perfect timing because it eased our hearts a little bit, took the focus off him. He didn't want anybody feeling sorry for him, and put it back on the girls in the game. He came here to watch a softball game, and that was just so cool. It was perfect. And just the way he said it, it was awesome. But a man of courage. Again, somebody I was really very proud to know. I mentioned family as well. Dick always talked, whenever we had any kind of conversation that he length, he always brought up his family, his Bev or his children, his grandchildren, and talked so highly of them. And I appreciated that because I'm a family guy too. Most all of us are. Family is important. But he also had a second family, and that was his Greenback family that he was so proud of. And it didn't matter if you were Greenback in any way, as was said earlier, it didn't matter if you were a starter or you were a bench warmer or whatever you want to call it. He knew you, and you were important to him. But as I thought about a couple of things that happened throughout my career and knowing Dick, this is the Dick I really knew. It was 2009. We went to Russell for regional softball, and back then many of the high schools didn't have a press box. Does anybody remember the little wagon that Dick used to pull around with his table in it and umbrella and those type of things? All the things all you needed was an outlet. I also thought about this too. We've been to a lot of ballparks lately. Everybody has one of those little wagons. We missed out on a golden opportunity. Dick and I, we would have been partners, I'm sure. In these wagons, because everybody had, we've got 2 of them for our travel team. Everybody's got them. But anyway, and then he would set up between the bleachers, behind the backstop, and call the game. And, we won that regional, went on and qualified for state. And he called me back for my interview. And I did, 2 or 3 minutes, whatever it was. And he was so happy, had that big grin on his face, as always. Always made me feel better. That was a great moment. But there's times where I went and interviewed with him. I didn't really want to interview with him. I really wasn't up to it. We hadn't played real well, but he always made me feel better leaving. But after he talked to me, he said, I want to interview a couple of players. And I said, okay, I'll send some of the seniors. And honestly, I don't remember who the seniors were that year, but so I sent a couple of seniors over, for a quick interview, and I went down to the end of one of the bleachers and was just milling around, and I hear that laugh of his and that chuckle, and I looked down into the bleachers. There's not 2 seniors down there. The entire Lady Greenback softball team was halfway surrounded him, and they were all having a great time, just laughing, giggling, enjoying the moment. That's the Dick Anderson I knew and loved. I don't know what they were talking about. I didn't know softball was such a hilarious sport, but they were having a great time. And I wish it would have been, it was before the cell phone era, but because I would have had a ton of pictures of that moment. Just him and the girls enjoying, him and his part of his Greenback family enjoying that moment. It was special. The other one was 2014. We qualified for the state tournament, and that was the year that they divided some of the classifications into 2 divisions. And we were 4A Division II that year. And in their thinking, it was all new. Where are we going to hold this state tournament? How about Green Sports Complex in Pratt, Kansas? And that's where that year it was held here. And this beautiful complex, it just gets better and better. But as we went to that tournament, we actually won the 4A state tournament that year. And I remember Dick making a comment, because there was a little bit of grumbling from some coaches about home field advantage. And Dick so eloquently made the comment that Mike, and it was pretty dominant on our part. We just had a really good team. He said, Mike, it wouldn't have mattered. You could have played that state tournament on the moon, and you would have still won. And classic Dick, just keeping it real and standing up for his Greenbacks. But we beat Clearwater, 12-2 or something in 5 innings. And after the initial celebration on the field, he got my attention to come up and we did an interview, and I walked in. Of course, he's got that big grin on his face and a big hug, and we shook hands. And he started the interview, and he didn't get very far. We both stopped talking, and we just looked down on the field, and we enjoyed what we were watching. Players and coaches, students, parents, grandparents, down on the field celebrating, enjoying, just a mass of people, as you can imagine. And it lasted a long time. I don't know how long. It's kind of hard to get anybody to go home. But he and I stood there, and I looked over at him, and he was so proud. He was just proud of the Greenback Nation, and he was very proud of his Greenback family. And I could just see it in his eyes. And we just stood there and we were on the air. I'm sure anybody listening appreciated that long silence, but it was such a cool moment. And I'm glad I got the chance to share that with you. In closing, when I'm so thankful for the time I got to spend with him, but I start my day every day in prayer, and I end it that way. And one of the things I always thank the good Lord for is the people that he surrounds me with and brings into my life, whether it be family or friends or colleagues or coaches or students or athletes, and number one, fans. I'm so blessed to have had that opportunity that he gave me to get to know Dick Anderson, my friend, and someone that I will never forget. And as I always like to say, in anything, because I love the ballpark, Dick Anderson, my friend, we will always see you at the ball. Thank you.
This is Dick Anderson, and it's the time of year that I need to stop for just a minute and thank all the people that are involved in the sports broadcasting here at KMM. Lisa Cross, the general manager. Carl Rada, the program director, who puts on the programs, works the boards, and Sandy Dyke, who sells all the commercials. You can't do it without your sponsors, and we have the best sponsors in the world. And you can't do it without the kids. The kids from Pratt Skyline High School, the kids from Pratt High School, the young people at Pratt Community College. Pratt ought to be proud of the youth that we have performing for us here around the Pratt area. So for my family here at KMM, also my personal family at home, and myself. We wish you the happiest of Christmases and a prosperous New Year. And thank you for listening to us here on Super Hits 1290 K-Trup.
Well, there's no better way to sum up that specific promo. That exactly was who Dick was. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lisa Koss, used to be the general manager for KMMM. I had the honor and privilege to have worked with Dick for 18 years. Who would have ever thought that 18 years would go by so quick and we'd have so many memories. Tonight, you've been able to hear some of the sports stories from all the guys. And of course, sorry guys, the best is for last. You know, that's just kind of how it goes. But you guys got to hear the sports stuff. But I got to see the other side of Dick, and that was family. Dick was family to us. I see Carl's out there, Ada's out there, Raul is out there, Glenn, of course, and Troy. We were all family. It wasn't a job at all for Dick, nor for any of us. And we had so many great experiences and so many memories. But the one thing that I can say about Dick is I have a few little secrets of things that used to happen at the station that many people don't know about Dick. One of the things that I remember fondly, and I know Ada, where's Ada out there? There she is. So here's the story with Mr. Anderson. So many of you, I don't know where the station is at. It's a couple miles outside of town, out in the country. And for those of you that don't know, we have a few little varmints that get into the building. Most, of course, are your friendly little rats, your mice, but most of all, snakes. Snakes that get into the building. And, of course, I am sitting in my office, and I hear this shriek. And I'm like, oh, great, what now? And it's a common shriek that I knew it was either a mouse or a rat or something in the building. And all of a sudden, I see Ada come in, and she's screaming, there's a snake outside. Well, so I stand there, and I think, am I going to take care of this? What am I going to do? As the responsible adult, I get up, go to my office. We made a little shield out of metal. And I said, Ada, hold this. And then I grab, I think it was an axe of some sort. And here we are. Ada and I are the two lonesome people at the office, and we head outside. And as we're getting outside, Ada's standing there with the shield, blocking that snake. And I said, okay, Ada, that snake is going to try to lunge at you. Just try to protect me, try to protect yourself. And I'm sitting there with an axe, getting ready to kill that snake. Lo and behold, I am frozen to death because my greatest fear is snakes. And so I'm standing there praying, okay, somebody, please, somebody show up. Around the corner, we hear a vehicle coming down. It's all you see is smoke or dirt coming. You know, that's Dick Anderson. He's hauling down that driveway, and he pulls in, and he parks right beside us, and he rolls down the window and says, what are you guys doing? I'm like, don't you see the snake? We're trying to kill a snake. I see that. Okay. Turns up the window, puts it in reverse, and leaves. I wish I could say that it was the first time that ever happened. Next day he shows up and he said, so, I see you killed the snake. It's dead out there. I said, yeah? Why? Why do you say that? Well, the other day, I was in the office, and out of the corner of my eye, I see a snake pass through the hallway, and I just left. Yeah. So needless to say, there was two snakes in the office, and Dick was nowhere to be found. So as much as he loved community and he loved family, Dick did not love snakes. But no matter what, anything you would ever ask Dick to do, he would step up to the plate. There wasn't anything that I've ever asked him to do that he would say, I can't do it. That was Dick Anderson. Everybody talks about the Greenbacks, but the Greenbacks wasn't the only team that he loved. He loved the Beavers. He loved Skyline. Yes, I'm a T-Bird. I'm sorry for all you Greenbacks. I'm assuming most of you are Greenbacks. We greatly appreciate Greenbacks. But as a T-Bird, he always made it a point to do it for the kids in the community. And not just in Pratt, across the entire state of Kansas. He had a heart of gold. And he was truly the sports voice of South Central Kansas and beyond. And that's why we loved Dick. And when Stacy asked me to talk, honestly, I read that message and I thought, I can't do this. But in my mind, I could hear Dick just standing there just looking at me, just giving me that death stare of, you better do this. How many times you told me to go do remotes, go do games, whatever it was to accept up to the plate. So when you asked me, I thought, how in the world can I tell you how much I cared about Dick and how much I loved him and how much I appreciated the entire family for letting us borrow him for so many years. And I apologize that we had to keep him for so long. And I wish he would have been able to have enjoyed his little house and Beth, because that's all he talked about. How much he loved you guys. And for you grandkids, you are the luckiest kids in this world. Because every time Dick went to go see you, the very first thing when he came to my office, he pulled out myself and he said, hey, you gotta look at this. Look at my grandbabies. Look at what they're doing. The pride that he had for every single one of you is such an unconditional love that we all desire. And Dick loved you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me be a part of his life. And I know a lot of us are thankful for Dick and who he was to us in this community. I don't mean to make you guys cry, and that's all I've done listening to those clips. And but you know, I've known Dick for 18 years, but the one thing that a lot of people don't know, or some of you clients, I see some clients out there, that I actually met Dick when I was 7 years old. As he would always introduce me to people, he said, this is a little Mexican girl. So that's who I always was. This is a little Mexican girl, and she's my boss. And he said, little known story, that I met this little Mexican girl and her dad when he used to have a dealership. And, you know, I went with my dad, I was 7 years old, and of course he would always buy cars there from Dick because they were always reliable. Dick never sold you a lemon because he stood behind his word and his products. And so we showed up, and my dad did understand Spanish, or English. Of course he understands Spanish, duh. But he understood English but didn't really speak it well. So I was the interpreter. And here we are looking at a vehicle. My dad's looking at that vehicle, and he's thinking, I like it. And Dad tells me the amount that he wants to pay for the car. And so the car, I think, was $6,500. And Dick comes along, and he introduces himself to my dad, and he starts talking to my dad and asks him, you like the car? Dad nods his head, looks at me. And I hold out my hand, and I tell him I'm Lisa Koss, that my dad is interested in his car. And he looks at me, and he's, so I'm supposed to talk to you? I said, yeah, I'm the one that's making the deal today. And so the car was $6,500, and Dad was like, let's do $45,000. So I told Dick, let's do $45,000. Dick's like, I can't do $45,000. That's not good. I look at my dad and I pretend to talk to him, and you know, because I know the dollar amount that Dad has. And so we're just standing there, and I just talk to him about the car, and it's a nice car, and then I go back to Dick. I said, Dick, okay, we can do $47.50. And Dick says, that's not enough. Okay. Last and final offer, $49.50. Dick just kind of looks at the car, looks at me, and he says, okay, deal. But here's the thing. My dad's number was full price. $6,500 cash. So, for those of you now will know that I was the best salesperson at being 7 years old, trying to make a deal with Mr. Anderson. And who would have thought that 7 years later, I'd be working side by side with him. And to this day, he is like a dad to me. Because I spent more time with him than I have with my own dad. So, to everyone, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to have Dick in our lives. We greatly appreciate it. So, thank you very much, guys. And I'd like to ask the family to come down to the field, please.
Thanks everybody. Paul Ray has been with us 30 years. out at the radio station. He works all the ball games, radio, sports broadcasts we do, whether it's ball games, wrestling. We're going to do wrestling match this year. I'm ready for that. And then, of course, like Cunningham, Troy Maydew, and Coach Tate here, I pull him out of the crowd and they come do this with me. He's always been helpful. And all the sponsors, man, you don't do this without sponsorship. You know that, Coach. And I've had some wonderful sponsors over the 18 years that we've been doing it. Gotta give a lot of kudos to my general manager. Ada Welch was down there. She's one of our staff out at the station. Does a fantastic job on sales and business development. But Lisa Koss, young lady started when I started 18 years ago. 18 years ago. She was my board up. She was a junior in high school at Flagstaff High School. Came out, went to work full time, worked her way up. Now she is the general manager. Does a fantastic job. She does the weekday sign stuff. Does all the signage that we prepare for people all over the state of Kansas. I can't say enough about that little gal. She's just like been a daughter to me, and we just worked really well together for 18 years. I'm really going to miss the whole crew, but it's time for me to step out and go watch my granddaughter play volleyball and watch my grandson wrestle. Of course, he'll be graduating this year. So. Yeah. But anyway, thanks to all of you, and thanks again, Coach, to you. We appreciate it.
Now, is everybody supposed to be in it?
Yeah. Well, they're gonna be walking out here in a second. There's gonna be more. No, this is not the family picture yet. Okay, you guys go ahead. Oh, a microphone. 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 We didn't practice.
Hello, I'm Kristen. I'm the youngest daughter of Dick Anderson, and Bev has chosen a poem for me to read. So please bear with me. I hope I can go through this. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond that glints in the snow. I am the sunlight on the ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft star that shines at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. My name is Amy, but I know most everybody knows who I am. And Dick was my stepdad for over 30 years. On behalf of our family, we would like to give a big thank you to all of you for coming out this evening to help celebrate Dick's life. You are all special. And thank you to all your generous donations that were given in his memory.
Thank you to the City of Pratt and the Green Sports Complex, and to Lisa Koss and her sign company, Rah Rah Inc. Creative. The sign is perfect. Now I have some words that Mom has wrote that I will read. Many years ago, Dick gave me a wall plaque and that he had picked up from a store on South Main. It reads, "We interrupt this marriage for basketball season." As you all know, basketball was not even half of it. There was no need to apologize for all the interruptions, as he loved his job and I loved him, so it all worked out fine. Thank you, Dick, for all the years and good memories. Little House is not the same without you. Until later.
And then I wanted to say one additional thing really quick. I know that the coaches have come up and said so many things about the athletes, and I just want to say from us as a family, anybody that was touched by Dick Anderson as an athlete, you have to understand that he came to us, when he would come to visit us, and he would talk about the athletes to us like they were his kids. He was so proud of everyone. And so I just want all of the girls to know, everyone out here, that Dick not only talked about you in a professional manner, but he talked about all the athletes to us as well as family. So I just wanted everyone to know that it ran that deep with him.
We'd like to invite Larry over on behalf of Green Sports Complex. I'm Dick's middle daughter, Stacy. This is his son, his middle son, his oldest son, and his oldest daughter could not be with us tonight. Thanks to your donations, we're able to donate $2,000 to the City of Pratt and the Green Sports Complex, and they are kind enough to let us dedicate this sign in memory of our father.
Thanks to the Anderson family. We have dedicated the press box on Pinkle Field in Dick's memory, which this sign will be up there. For next year, we are going to add to our summer schedule the Dick Anderson Memorial Softball Tournament. We don't have all the specifics yet, but those will come out soon. So that will help fund the scholarship fund as well. So any of you around, we invite you to come out and partake in that. Again, thanks for being here.
We'd like to invite the softball coach back over.
Okay, while they're finishing up their pictures, the softball team is going to take that wonderful sign, and we're going to walk it over to the press box and kind of prop it up there. We would like to invite anyone that would like to participate. We are going to walk over to Pinkle Field and have a moment of silence walk around the bases. So we would like to invite anyone that would like to do that. You can fall in behind the softball girls as they head that way. And we'll just start at home plate and in honor of our friend and Dick Anderson.
Can you see everybody, Bill?
Yeah, everybody see me?
Yes. Everybody see? Yeah. Okay.
Black hat and the glasses, I'm not seeing him very well.
He's got a press on the kid. Can you, John, can you guys go right here and kneel on the front right now? Don't you sit down or kneel right in that. You and Austin, you guys want to go right next to me? Thank you for your patience. Should we do this one first? Okay.
I'm sure nobody's hiding.
She's.
Okay. Everybody looking this way?
Yeah.
Smile. I have everybody.
Good, thank you so much. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you have a microphone real quick?
Yep.
So, oh, is it on?
I don't know.
Just when we thought we had everything organized. My dad had a very, very soft spot in his heart for the softball team. So we are so grateful that the team could come out tonight and help us with this. We originally wanted to have this ceremony over on the softball field, but with the sunlight and the heat, we thought it would just be too much, so we wanted everybody to be in the shade. So we're actually going to end our ceremony over on the softball field, and we would love it if you'd join us. The softball team's going to walk the sign over to its final space over, and then we're actually going to walk the bases in honor of my dad, Dick Anderson. So the softball team's going to lead us, the family will go, and then we'd love it if you would join us in walking the bases for one final time.
And you're on low power mode now.
Okay, thank you.